Guys, what is up? It is I, DPX here. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, DPX Talks for about an hour. I'm by myself today. I didn't even bother getting a guest on this month, but this is the fastest turnaround in a while, in between episodes. Normally I've been waiting. It's not that I'm not intending to do this, but normally I've just been waiting till the end of the month to do an episode of the podcast. We're like in the midpoint of the month, and I like that. I like that I'm doing that. But that's because we have a whole lot to talk about. I have some topics here, but mainly the bigger topic is going to be a tier list of many of these summer gaming showcases, because we got a lot of them recently. And maybe, with rumors of a Nintendo Direct happening this month, which, guys, every year, where there's not an E3, there are always rumors of a Nintendo Direct happening in June, and they never happen. It never happens. But pre-recorded segment, by the way. I filmed that like yesterday. My beard is a lot more puffy in that episode. But we have some topics, and we're just gonna talk about them. So we're gonna start off with a little demo that I played. A little known game. I don't know if you heard of it. It's called Final Fantasy 16. I don't think I've ever seen so much hype for a demo as much as I've seen with this game. And I'm including myself in that. I was so hyped to play this, and it was just a demo. It was like, the first hour of the game, first hour or two, and my hype for the game was already through the roof, but I cannot fucking wait to play more of this game. Holy shit. This is probably the best demo for any game I've ever played. And I'm including the demos that they released for the Smash games back in the day. This, and it's one of those demos where the save data for the game from your demo carries over, which I love that. It's almost like you get to start the game a little early. You don't get a whole lot, because it's a small portion of what the rest of the game is going to be. But you definitely get a tone setter. This is a dark, Final Fantasy is this is the first mainline M-rated. I mean, Stranger of Paradise was rated M, but who gives a shit about that game? That game sucks balls. But this game's a dark Final Fantasy game, rated M, so there's blood and gore and cussing and some sex. There's I'm not gonna say a sex scene, but there's definitely some a sexual interaction between two characters, and it was kind of floating around on Twitter. I saw. Luckily, I saw it after I saw it in the game. You know what I mean? But the gameplay feels really nice. The movement, you move, and it just feels so smooth. The combat feels that. Everyone's saying this isn't Final Fantasy. You mash to win. This is a Devil May Cry game. No, it's a Final Fantasy game. This is a Final Fantasy game that's doing something new, and it's gonna be really big for the franchise. And after playing this, then there are the cinematic strikes. There's a whole cutscene that plays, and you do this whole combo shit, and then a button flashes on screen, and you press the button, and it's oh my god, this is so cool. The boss fights I played so far, and the story. I've barely played the story because I've barely played the game because this is the demo. Holy shit! Clive is already a very interesting character. Depending on what it is we find out more about him, he might end up being a top 5 favorite Final Fantasy protagonist. And it covers different parts of his life, which I think is interesting. And the villain, oh my god, I want to murder that villain. I'm not going to say anything about the villain. I don't know if it was in the trailer. There were so many trailers released for this game, I didn't really keep up with them. But I just fucking cracked my foot. But I did that to my other one. I don't know if you heard that, but yeah, I don't know if the villain was in the trailers at all, but yeah, seeing what they do in here is, I want to kill this person. And again, I love the tone setting. I love the gameplay. I love the story so far, and I want to find out more about Clive. I want to meet some of my party members. I cannot wait to play this game. I play it at the time of recording. It's June 15th, 2023. A week from today, I'm playing this game. I cannot wait. So that's my thoughts on the Final Fantasy 16 demo. It just got me more hyped for this game, and I didn't even think that was possible. I didn't think it was possible for me to get more hyped for this. I cannot wait. You know, it felt like with the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, you know, being shown at Summer Games Fest, it kind of felt like that took some of the excitement for most people away from 16 and onto 7 Rebirth. But now it's like, but now, you know, this was all timed actually very well. You know, it seemed like why are you getting people hyped for this other huge Final Fantasy game when you have this huge Final Fantasy game like almost out? You know, well, it's okay. You get hyped for 7 Rebirth. We're gonna drop a demo for 16, and now everyone's hyped for 16 again, and we get to play it in a week. I cannot wait to play this game. But what do you guys think about that? Alright, next up, we got some movie news. We got, so Disney, they are a company. Wow, great observation. But they, yeah, they have a lot that they own. Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar, and they just announced a bunch of movie dates that are getting delayed from the MCU and Avatar and Star Wars, and they also just announced some dates. Didn't seem like they were delays. So I'm reading this on Variety. Disney is shaking up its release calendar, adding a new Star Wars movie and Moana live-action adaptation to the schedule, and delaying the next 3 Avatar movies by a year. Okay. Well, hear this next tidbit. At this rate, the 5th trip to Pandora will be released in 2031. I can't even begin to think about that year, alright? But that's in 8 years for anyone who wants to know the math. Among the highlights of the overhaul, a live-action Moana will be released on June 27th, 2025. Deadpool 3 moved up from November 28th, 2024 to May 3rd, 2024, which is my birthday, by the way. An untitled Star Wars movie is debuting on December 18th, 2026. Avatar 3 has shifted to December 19th, 2025. Avatar 4 to December 21st, 2029. And, like we said earlier, Avatar 5 to December 19th, 2031. Based on this timeline, the final Avatar movie, get this, the final Avatar movie is coming out 22 years after the original 2009 blockbuster. That's insane, but that's not all the delays. And so, other changes include a massive Marvel reshuffling. Captain America Brave New World, which I don't know if you guys knew this, but New World Order was changed to Brave New World, is moving from May 3rd, 2024 to July 26th, 2024, which in turn is delaying Thunderbolts to December 20th, 2024, Blade to February 14th, 2025, and Fantastic Four to May 2nd, 2025. Thunderbolts comes out like 5 days before Christmas. You know, Thunderbolts, we don't usually see an MCU movie come out during like that holiday season, you know what I mean, during December, but whatever. There's also Avengers The Kang Dynasty is getting pushed back an entire year from May 2nd, 2025 to May 1st, 2026. It's taking the place of Avengers Secret Wars, which is jumping from May 1st, 2026 to May 7th, 2027. With the addition of a Star Wars film in December 2026, it means that 2 movies set in a galaxy far, far away will be released in that year. That's right, a separate Star Wars movie has been pushed from December 19th, 2025 to May 22nd, 2026, and another Star Wars film is set for December 17th, 2027. Disney hasn't clarified the premises of any of those installments. Elsewhere, the new Alien movie, produced by Ridley Scott and directed by Fede Alvarez, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, will open on August 16th, 2024. And then production delays and ongoing WGA strike are part of the reason behind the total overhaul of the release plan. Disney recently paused filming on Thunderbolts and Blade, which led to a ripple effect on the rest of the interconnected Marvel Cinematic Universe. In regards to Avatar, the space between the sequels will allow the post-production and visual effects department to continue expanding, developing and refining the different ecosystems across the vast world of Pandora. And there's the rest of the article just talks more about the specific delays. So going to the MCU, that's when you get like the problem with the MCU, or a problem with the problem when it comes to like actually releasing them in a shared cinematic universe is like you have to delay one movie, you have to delay a whole bunch of other movies. You know, that kind of sucks. You know, I don't know why Deadpool 3 got moved up. You know, I heard that they did just start shooting that recently, and I cannot wait for that. And it's coming out on my birthday. Look at that. But yeah, bringing back my favorite superhero ever, Wolverine, played by Hugh Jackman. You know, on my birthday. Happy birthday to me. But yeah, I couldn't find anywhere where it said it was being moved up. You know, if Captain America and Thunderbolts are being moved back because of the WGA strike, then I just don't understand particularly why Deadpool got moved up. Blade, on the other hand, Thunderbolts was supposed to end. That was supposed to be the end of Phase 4, or no, Phase 5 of the MCU. But Blade is in Phase, so Blade's now the end of Phase 5, I think. Here's the thing. Blade is fucking cursed. This movie's been cursed. They announced this movie, like, what, 5 years, like, at Comic-Con 2019? And the movie, like, they don't even have a finished script for it. That's insane. Going on to the Avatar stuff. Look, I was of the opinion where it's like, it's been too long, you know, between the first Avatar movie and The Way of Water. You know, that was a 13-year gap between films. And like, I mean, it still made money. Avatar: The Way of Water I think it became like a top 3 highest grossing movie of all. It at least came in the top 5. I know that. But I don't know, like, it's getting stretched out. Like, you have Avatar: The Way of Water that came out in 2022, right? Next one comes out in 2025, and then the next one was like, what was it? It was like 2020. I think it was 2029, and then the next one's 2031. Again, 2031. That. The fact that we have a fucking movie that's slated for 2031 in the year 2023, like, I can't even think that far ahead. You know, what will I be doing in 8 years? You know, we're gonna go back to this one, and Avatar 5 is gonna be, you know, it's gonna get its first trailer, and we're gonna go back to this episode of the podcast and hear me talk about the news of Avatar 5 being slated for 2031, and I guarantee you, by the way, it's not making that date. You know, it's gonna come out in like 2033. And then as for Star Wars, I feel like this hasn't really dawned on people that much, but we have not gotten a Star Wars movie since December of 2019. It's been way too long. So I think, and Star Wars is a movie franchise, you know. Lately it's just been getting Disney Plus shows, but this is a franchise made for the big screen. You know what I mean? So I'm excited for, and there some of the Star Wars movies that were announced at Star Wars Celebration. You know, James Mangold making a Star Wars movie. That's awesome to me. A Mandalorian movie that, you know, wraps up like Mandalorian and Ahsoka and Boba Fett and all those storylines. You know, that's great. A Rey Skywalker movie, I'm not too sure about. Those are like there are 3 Star Wars movies within that like period that it listed. I wouldn't be surprised if those are the 3 movies, you know. And then other than all that, we're getting another Alien movie, which, okay, all right, cool. And then we're getting a live action Moana. Like, I don't like the idea of that, you know. I already don't like these live action Disney remakes, but we're getting one released within the past 10 years. And by the time it comes out, it will probably not be it'll be older than 10 years old, but still, I don't like that. But yeah, that's my thoughts on all these Disney delays. And yeah, moving on to another topic, we got some, I guess you can say this is video game news and movie news mixed together. That's right. So the Mario movie came out. It came out back in April, and it was the biggest movie of the year. I could be wrong. I think it's like a top 3 highest grossing animated movies of all time. Like, that's insane to me. And I'm happy it's a video game movie. And it's a Nintendo movie. It makes sense. If there's gonna be a movie, a video game that gets adapted into a movie, and that movie is the most successful video game movie of all time, I don't know what the fuck. That was such a weird way to put it. It's very fitting that the highest grossing video game movie of all time is a Mario movie. That's fitting, and it's deserved. Again, the movie wasn't great, you know. The Mario fan of me loved it, but the movie reviewer in me, I found it to be a fine little fun movie, but definitely nothing crazy. But you got to imagine that with the success of Mario, obviously there are discussions and all that for sequels. You know, a sequel to the Mario movie, like, and a threequel. You know, you got that. But aside from that, you got to imagine that there are talks to adapt other Nintendo franchises onto the big screen. And one of those, the first one, okay, when you think of Nintendo franchises, what's the first franchise that comes to mind other than Mario? Zelda. And we've heard reports for a while that that Illumination are in talks to do a Zelda movie. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. Because we haven't mentioned the whole Illumination problem. They suck. Okay? The Mario movie and and Despicable Me, the first one, are their only two movies that I can call good. All their other movies are mid to painfully mid to just dog shit, you know. But I thought, you know, after seeing it, the Mario games are not very heavy on plot. You know, the plot's like Mario and Peach are at a castle. Peach gets captured from the castle to another castle. Mario has to make his way to the castle to rescue Peach. That's it. Mario is might as well just be an insert for the player. Peach is your typical damsel in distress. Bowser is just your typical villain. He's not a he's not multiply. He doesn't have layers or anything like that. And Illumination are not good with plots. So it was actually a match made in heaven. Zelda, on the other hand, here's why I don't want Illumination to make a Zelda movie. And that's because Zelda has a rich and deep lore and actually fleshes out its stories. Especially with the two recent games, like, it really does, like, the story, especially in Tears of the Kingdom, the story is front and center, and it is really well done. There's a rich history with the lore and all that. And, you know, you have characters like Zelda herself and Ganon, you know, that have some stuff to them. Link's an issue. I don't know how you really adapt Link into a movie. I'm sure they can do something, but Link is kind of an insert for the player. You know, not that there's anything wrong with that. Like, Link is supposed to represent the person playing, you know. But I never wanted Illumination to make a Zelda movie. Well, there have been reports recently that Illumination are in final talks to make a Legend of Zelda movie. And I'm like, oh boy. Oh no. But they responded to this. Chris Meledandri, sorry, Chief Executive Officer of Illumination himself, says this. I don't know where that came from. I mean, I can understand how people would surmise all sorts of things because obviously we've had a great experience working together. My relationship with Nintendo now includes being on their board of directors, so I understand how many people surmise these things. But in terms of the specifics, that was just something that I've been hearing lots of rumors. This is just about what's next between Nintendo and Illumination. So, they kind of debunk the rumors of an Illumination Zelda movie, but he doesn't really debunk it. He kind of just says, that's not official. These rumors are not true. But a while ago, there have been consistent rumors of Illumination in talks to do a Zelda movie. from reputable sources, and I don't think they were false. I just think it was Illumination. You know, it was floated by them, and I don't know. Here's the thing. I think you do a Zelda movie. You know, I think you do a Zelda movie, but not made by Illumination. You know, Nintendo has this good relationship with Universal. It's not really just Illumination. You know, Illumination should be... Their relation with Illumination should be seen as a part of their relation with Universal. You know, they got the relation with... They got Illumination making the Mario movie. They got the Super Nintendo world at fucking Universal Studios. I think you have a Legend of Zelda movie made by DreamWorks. I think that works. And you have it done in the animation style that Puss in Boots used. You know, that's sort of like 2D looking art style, but in 3D. The Spider-Verse look, you know what I mean? I think that's what you do. And that way I think you can end up having it be really good. I think, you know, and DreamWorks, they know more about story, they cover some deep lore. You know, they've done Shrek, they've done How to Train Your Dragon, they've done Kung Fu Panda. They've gotten deep with a lot of these movies. So yeah, I think if there's gonna be a Zelda movie, it's gotta be DreamWorks. You know, and to be honest, I don't know if I can think of, like, even beyond just Universal, I don't think I can think of any animation studios that would be a better fit, actually. You know, Pixar are a little iffy right now. Disney Animation are a little iffy right now. You got Sony. I mean, they make Spider-Verse, and Spider-Verse is awesome. They made Mitchell's vs. the Machines, but what else have they made recently that is really that good? You know, and it's like Lord and Miller. Are you gonna have Lord and Miller make a Zelda movie? I don't know if that works. I can't really think. Warner Brothers Animation, they made Scoob. You know, DreamWorks, I think, is your best bet. But I do think they're just gonna stick with Illumination, which is disappointing because you can actually have a pretty solid Zelda movie if you don't stick with Illumination. But that's just what I think. Moving on, we got some other topics like this one. So, Titanfall. It's so weird. I remember when this came out, when the two Titanfall games came out. People were talking about it. The first one came out, and it kind of came and went. It was disappointing. It was seen as a big disappointment. Titanfall 2 came out in, like, 2016. And I remember it got some really good reviews. I didn't play it till a lot later, but I remember it got some really good reviews. A lot of people were saying this is a major improvement over the first game. I played it. It's definitely a big improvement over the first game. And since then, people have been kind of clamoring for a Titanfall 3. But I didn't really realize this. Titanfall is a lot more niche than I really thought. You know, I just remember a lot of people talking about it when it came out, but I think that might have just been a very loud minority. I don't know. And then Respawn came out with what people thought was going to be Titanfall 3. They came out with a game called Apex Legends, which was, you know, it was this free-to-play, multiplayer, first-person shooter battle royale game, and it's one of the few battle royales that, like, it's kind of still around and still kind of relevant. So, yeah, But, you know, now that raised the question, what happened to Titanfall 3? Like, that was going to happen at one point. Well, looking into this, it recently came out that Titanfall 3 was in development for 10 months, and then it got canceled by EA and turned into Apex. Reading on an article by Gaming Insider, on the subject of Titanfall 3, Alazi said, Alazi being the developer, like the lead developer, you want to hear a crazy cut story? Titanfall 2, you know, came out, did what it did, and we were like, okay, we're gonna make Titanfall 3. And we worked on Titanfall 3 for 10 months, right? In earnest, right? I mean, we had... Okay, this is... Are you... Gaming Insider, are you seriously gonna, like, fucking copy exactly the way he said it? Or whatever. Where was I? In earnest, right? I mean, we had, like, new tech for it. We had multiple missions going. We had a first playable, which was, like, on par to be just as good, if not better, than whatever we had before, right? But I'll make this clear. Incrementally better. It wasn't revolutionary. And that's the kicker, right? And we were, like, feeling pretty decent about it, but not the same feeling as Titanfall 2, where we were making something revolutionary. You know what I mean? And then the multiplayer team was having a hell of a time trying to fix the multiplayer because a lot of people love the multiplayer. He continued, people love Titanfall 2 multiplayer. Excuse me. But people who love Titanfall 2 multiplayer is a very small number of people. And most people play Titanfall 2 multiplayer and think it's really good. But it's too much. It's too much. It's cranked up to 11. Excuse me. It's cranked up to 11 and they burn... Okay. Okay. So I'm cutting to where he actually mentions how the... How 3 was cut. And at the time, I had just literally become the narrative lead designer on Titanfall 3. I had pitched the story, the whole game that me and Manny had come up with, that me and Manny had come up with, made this big presentation, and then we went off a break and went back from break, and we talked about it, and we were like, yeah, we need to pivot, and we need to make this game. Because we literally canceled Titanfall 3 ourselves, because we were like, we can make this game, and it's going to be Titanfall 2 plus a little bit better, or we can make this thing, which is clearly amazing. And don't get me wrong, I will always miss having another Titanfall, you know what I mean? I love that game. Titanfall 2, like I said, is my most crowing achievement, but it was the right call. That is a crazy cut. Such a crazy cut that EA didn't even know about it for another 6 months. So yeah. So I guess I was wrong earlier when I said that EA canceled it. They didn't cancel it. What it seems like is it was a decision by Respawn and Alazi himself to cancel Titanfall 3 and make it into Apex Legends. You know, and I think financially it was probably the right call because Titanfall 2 didn't sell very well. So were they going to do this this next huge multiplayer game that the previous game didn't sell very well, or they have this other idea for a battle royale, which this was when battle royales were hot. So they have this other idea for a battle royale, you know, and it's basically like the multiplayer from Titanfall, and make that its own free-to-play game and monetize it, and they can make a whole bunch of money. This is... Respawn is a part of EA after all. Let's not forget that. So financially, this makes more sense, and Apex went on to be very successful. But I am disappointed that we never got to get Titanfall 3. And it's not like, you know, we're still waiting on it, because I feel like for a while it's like we're still waiting on a Titanfall 3. For a while it didn't even feel like, you know, for a while it kind of just felt like, you know, oh, Titanfall 3 is obviously going to happen at some point. But now we know that it was in development, but it got canceled. And that's disappointing, I feel. So yeah, Titanfall 3 got the can. Next up, we have another topic. A certain game is in development, a certain remake, you know, a certain Final Fantasy remake. I already talked about Final Fantasy 16 earlier, but we got another Final Fantasy related topic. This one is a remake of Final Fantasy X. This is interesting to me and is supposedly in development and releasing in 2026. This comes to us from comicbook.com, who writes, the Final Fantasy franchise has no shortage of beloved games, including Final Fantasy X. Hard as it may to be believed, the game will be turning 25 years old in 2026. And a new rumor suggests that it will receive a remake for the occasion. The rumor started on the Reset era reforms from a poster named I'm Here Too, who teased that it will be the next remake, while stating that it won't be answering any questions about it. The poster's account has since been closed at user request. Their posts can still be seen through quoted replies, however. Final Fantasy X was the first game in the franchise to receive a sequel, Final Fantasy X-2, releasing in 2003. Back in 2021, it was revealed that writer Kazushige Nojima, sorry about if I butchered that, had come up with a synopsis for a third entry in the series, and members of the development team revealed to Famitsu that there was a chance the game could be made someday. However, director Motomo Toriyama was quick to note that we are not in a phase where we can talk about anything unless we have finished producing the Final Fantasy VII Remake. The second game in the trilogy, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, is set to release in 2024, arriving 4 years after the Final Fantasy VII Remake. At this rate, it's going to be a while before Square Enix finishes the remake trilogy, so it's difficult to say how plausible this rumor is. As Gaming Bolt notes, it's possible a Final Fantasy X remake could be on a smaller scale, closer to what we saw from Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Reunion, which was closer to a remaster. That would be a lot more feasible for 2026, while also opening the door for Final Fantasy X-3 at some point down the line. The Reset era forms have seen a lot of legitimate leaks over the years, and Final Fantasy X does have a big and passionate fan base. However, until we get something concrete from Square Enix, readers should definitely take this rumor with a grain of salt. So yeah, that comes to us from comicbook.com, and like towards the end of the article it states, Resetera is not the most reliable source. You know, I feel like it's more reliable than 4chan, because on 4chan you can post something, but you can change the date on it to make it seem a little more feasible. That's why a lot of Smash leaks kind of, it seems like they predicted a lot of Smash leaks with characters, but really that's someone just putting in a leak and then changing the date to before well, you know what I mean. You can't do that on Resetera, so it's a little more believable that it comes from Resetera. Here's the thing, Final Fantasy X, I guess I could say it doesn't need a remake. And in terms of being able to play the game, it does not need a remake, because the game is on, 10 and 10.2 Remastered are on the Switch, on PlayStation, on Xbox, on Steam, and they're on the PS Plus extra tier. I believe they're on Game Pass. They're not on it. You can't get it for free on Switch, but still. So you have many ways to play a better version of Final Fantasy X. However, I also think Final Fantasy X has aged decently well. So I'm interested to see how a remake would be, because it's either you completely overhaul the game, maybe make it into more of an action RPG, but I don't even know how well that works. Or you make it more akin to a remaster, but it's we got a remaster. So make it I guess it could be in sort of like Crisis Core Reunion, where that's kind of in the middle of a remake and a remaster, Interesting. I find this all interesting to me personally. So yeah. Moving on to another topic. There are two big topics. One of them I said was going to be the tier list of the showcases that happened. Another one's going to be a big controversy going on with Call of Duty and all that stuff. But next up, Netflix. It was announced not too long ago that Netflix will be cracking down on their password sharing. Basically, how it worked is you have a Netflix account, you send over your account to a friend, and they now have free Netflix. And that's how so many people were using Netflix, because so many people are just sharing their accounts with other people. But now now Netflix are cutting down on password sharing, and it seemed like the internet all collectively just, all collectively just came out and said no, this is a bad idea. And because it is a bad idea, but at the same time, the subscribers that they lose, they don't lose subscribers necessarily. They're not losing, the people they lose are people that were mooching off of their friends' Netflix's accounts. And apparently, it has been successful. This is coming to us from Insider. You might not like it, but Netflix's password sharing crackdown is off to a great start in the US, according to new data. Netflix on May 23rd began charging US subscribers $8 to add another user to their account if that person lives outside the account holder's household, that is. The change was meant to stop the proverbial ex-boyfriend's cousin's friend from continuing to watch someone's Netflix account. In the first 6 days after the clampdown went into effect, Netflix had the 4 single largest days of U.S. user acquisition in the 4.5 years that analytics company Antenna has tracked it. Antenna measures data through a slew of opt-in panels that track purchase and transaction data. That they track purchase and transaction data, okay? Antenna said average signups to Netflix reached 73,000 during that period. Okay, I'm not going to read this whole thing. Basically, password sharing, the crackdown on password sharing has really actually helped Netflix, which is surprising. I will admit, it is surprising. But at the same time, I guess it makes sense because, like I said, the people who now don't get Netflix weren't paying for it. I hit the desk. Weren't paying for it in the first place. So by cracking down on password sharing, you don't really lose subscribers, you lose people using Netflix. I didn't think I'd have to make a distinction between the two, but it looks like I did. I don't really have much else to say about this one, so I'm going to move on to this next topic, and oh boy, I'm not going to do this one justice, because it's a lot bigger. So, first of all, I just want to start this. I'm going to try my best not to make this all political and shit. So I just want to start this by saying, look, love is love. LGBTQ, you're humans too, alright? And happy Pride Month, everyone. Now, a little known streamer known as Nickmercs, who does a lot of content on Call of Duty. I'm not too familiar with him, although I do know he exists, of course, because he's pretty big. So big that he actually had a DLC pack and like an operator skin. Yeah, he had like in the game, planned to be in the game. But Nickmercs made like some sort of LGBTQ comment, and Call of Duty or Activision, this fucking on Forbes, it's called Call of Duty removes. It's Activision that removed, not Call of Duty, but Activision removed Nickmercs' skin. So I'm trying to find the whatever. I think I remember what he said. So basically, there was this tweet that went out, and it showed a picture of like some riot going on at a Pride Day parade, which honestly pisses me off that shit's still happening. First and foremost, you know, like, just, I don't want to get political, but like, that shit is infuriating that is happening. Alright, that's first and foremost. But Nickmercs responds with, they should leave the kids alone. That's the real issue. Now, obviously, at first glance, that sounds a little like, whoa, you know? Like, that sounds like, you know, you don't want kids to be exposed to gay people, you know, not knowing that. And he then went on to explain himself, and he said, like, you know, he recently just had a kid, so, you know, he's a new dad, and now, so, and he wants to be, him and his wife want to be the ones to tell his kids about how, you know, there's gay people out there. He doesn't want it to be taught in schools, which, you know, I mean, like, in schools you're kind of taught about straight relationships and all that. Why can't they teach you about gay relations? I'm gonna be honest. I learned about gay relationships in, I think, health class in like middle school or something. Like, obviously I knew what gay people were before that, but like, you know, the fact of the matter is they do teach you that stuff in school. And that's already like, I don't understand that from Nickmercs himself, but I never once thought he's homophobic, you know what I mean? But Activision think differently. So, this comes to us from Forbes. High-profile streamer and FaZe content creator Nickmercs grew so large in the Call of Duty community that eventually Activision gave him his own branded operator skin. But that operator has now been removed from sale in the wake of his comments in a thread posted by MLG's Chris Puckett showing an attack by an anti-LGBTQ group on pro-LGBTQ during Pride, which again fucking infuriates me that shit is still happening. you know. But Nickmercs' tweet, which has now been viewed 11.3 million times by Twitter metrics, says to, quote, "Leave little children alone, that's the real issue." It is a reference to a common Republican talking point, alleging that the LGBTQ community is grooming children by educating them about the existence of sexual and gender identity. Excuse me. It's been the focus Florida's Don't Say Gay laws and has become a major platform issue for many Republicans, especially Florida's own governor and presidential hopeful Ron DeSantis. Call of Duty responded a day later by announcing they were removing Nickmercs' Spartan-themed operator skin from the store. They say recent events, but they specifically cite their own celebration of Pride, indicating Nickmercs' comments were not something they wanted to be officially associated with via a top creator partnership. The skin has not been deleted from the collection of those. Okay, that's not really. Nickmercs later posted a video expanding on the tweet, saying he didn't mean to upset anybody, but made it clear he is not apologizing for the tweet, and I don't think it's wrong, he says. He alleges the point he was trying to make was about how parents should... Yeah, I already got into that. Okay. And there is a lot of outcry from here, you know. A lot of people are standing with Nickmercs. Dr. Disrespect, another very popular Call of Duty streamer, as you all may know, on stream uninstalled Call of Duty. Tim the Tap Man, you know, one of Nickmercs' friends, also had an operator skin coming to Call of Duty, and he, in solidarity with Nickmercs, requested that his skin gets removed because he doesn't want his skin to be in there and not Nick's skin. And one thing here, I'm sorry, I need to go on a little bit of a rant here. This isn't really related to like the bigger picture, but my issue is this. In Dr. Disrespect's stream where he uninstalls the game, he goes, "This is a line that has been crossed." They crossed a line by removing Nickmercs' fucking skin. And we need to show Activision that, you know, we will not have this and all that. It says all that stuff. Do you know what company you are talking about? Do you know... Are you familiar with Activision, what they fucking do? This every other year, or maybe not even that, every year, there's always boycott Activision for this, boycott Activision for that, boycott Activision for that, and every fucking time, like, it lasts for like a week or two. I mean, this is a pretty big news story, you know, and it's been going on for a while. You know, I didn't think it would still be relevant enough for me to talk about it. But it's still relevant here. So, but every time the boycott lasts for like a week up to a month, and then it dies out. If you're gonna, like, I'm sorry, I don't see how this crosses the line, but apparently, having a CEO who, goes out of his way to abuse women and, threaten a woman over the phone to kill her, and takes a private jet and brings all of his creeper friends with him to harass the flight attendants. That's not crossing a line, but Nickmercs' skin being removed from the game is. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. It is a bit of a side tangent. It's not real. That's not really related. I just needed to get that out there. And this is, but why are people surprised that Activision, I mean, I guess you're surprised, but also not surprised. Because they keep finding a way to surprise people. They keep finding ways to be shitty, you know. I get not, like, at the same time, though, taking what Nickmercs said out of context, like, it looks like the context is just LGBTQ, like, anti-LGBTQ crowd, like, fucking shit up during a pride parade. Nickmercs says they should leave kids alone. You know, without context, that seems like he's being homophobic. I don't believe he's being homophobic. And when he got into detail and gave more context, I still don't think he's being homophobic. But I am of the belief that, like, you know, free speech, Nickmercs should be allowed to say that if he wants. But also, as shitty as Activision are, they are allowed to be associated with... They are allowed to have the choice to be associated with Nick or not. And I know what you're thinking, but DPX, did I just hear you? Did I just hear you defend Activision? No, because my issue here is Activision, they didn't find out the full context. And that's why they're a shitty company. And also, I like to shit on them whenever I get the chance to. I'm still waiting for Bobby's dumbass to leave the company so I can maybe buy some games that, like, you know, but fuck Activision. You know, they keep proving that they are a shitty company. And, yeah, you guys who watch Nickmercs' streams and Dr. Disrespect's streams and Tim the Tapman's streams, you guys somehow watching this, I just want to let you guys know, Activision are a shitty company, and as long as they get supported, I don't mean to virtue signal, that I hate virtue signaling, but, like, they're gonna keep doing this, you know, even if you don't support them, they're still gonna find a way to fucking be shitty. You know, even if they have no money, they're still gonna find a way to be a terrible company. But yeah, that's that. And now moving on to the final topic. I saved the best topic for last, you know. That other topic might have gotten me more views, but this is the big topic. We got a lot of gaming news, a lot of news about video games, new games announced, all that stuff, all that jazz within the past week or so. And I kind of talk about this in the... I do a pre-recorded video of me putting together a tier list of 8 showcases. There's the PlayStation Showcase, which I threw that in there. There was the Summer Games Fest, the Xbox show, the Ubisoft show, the Capcom show. I even threw in some of the smaller ones like Devolver, the Future Game Show, PC Gaming Show. And yeah, it's gonna go play right now. Hello! It's me from the past, actually. This has already been recorded. I don't know if this is the same day as the podcast, or if it's not the same day as the podcast, but it's pretty soon before. So, yeah, this is the Summer Gaming Showcases tier list. There was the PlayStation Showcase that is going to be in here, but that happened towards the end of May. And then there's the Summer Games Fest, which I didn't make a video about, but I made an episode of it on Chill with the Meatcast. And there was the Xbox Showcase, which we were going to do an episode Chill with the Meatcast on that, and we just never got around to it. And there's the Ubisoft one and the Capcom one. There's Devolver, there's the Future Game Show, the PC Gaming Show. So I figured I'm just going to make a little tier list. You know, it's only 8. If I'm forgetting some of them, then they weren't important, or I must just be forgetting. I did something similar a couple years ago. The last time we had E3, I did a tier list of all the showcases. And yeah, I'm readjusting myself in my seat. But yeah, we got S, A, B, C, D, F. Starting off with these are all in order from when they happened. So PlayStation Showcase, I'm not gonna it's a D tier. You know, I feel like this is come and gone. I don't need to talk about this that much. We talked about it at length, but it's like, this is not what you come to expect from a PlayStation showcase. PlayStation showcases, they pull out the big guns. They pull out all the stops. You know, this felt like a really long state of play, and that's disappointing. But yeah, I'm not gonna. I feel like all has been said about this one. Shut up! My fucking phone went off. I need to put it on mute so you don't hear it. Next up, Summer Games Fest. I'm actually going to give this one an A. I think this was a really good, it's definitely an improvement from last year's Summer Games Fest. Summer Games Fest had some good games in there, but, like, I don't really remember much of what happened. I remember that was the show where, like, The Last of Us Part 1 was revealed as, like, the big final thing, and it was a little disappointing. Like, you're remaking The Last of Us. There are many games. Sure, there are many games that, like, deserve or need a remake less, but there are many games that would benefit more from a remake. And there's, like, a couple of other games that were there. I remember they showed, like, some stuff for Street Fighter 6, and they showed Shredder's Revenge. I remember that was pretty cool. But that's last year's Summer Games Fest. This year's Summer Games Fest was really solid. We had it started off with the new Prince of Persia game, you know, which already, like, I don't understand why people are, you know, they don't like that got fucking bombed. You know what I mean? Like, disliked to. I don't know what I'm trying to say. A lot of people didn't. It got downvoted. That's the word I'm looking for. It got downvoted. And I don't get that. Is it the music? The Kendrick Lamar music? It's a bit of a weird choice, yes. But I think the game looks incredible. And we get to see more of it at Ubisoft Showcase, which we will get to. Other stuff that was there, they announced Sonic Superstars, which... like, I cannot wait for that. It's the first time in a while where they announce a new Sonic game, and I'm like, you know what? I'm excited for that. You know, Frontiers was great and all, but, like, let's not forget. Excuse me. Let's not forget when they announced that. We were all kind of like, this doesn't look that good. Like, the way they revealed that game was fucking, like, someone should have gotten fired over the way that game got revealed. I'm not even kidding. But Sonic Superstars looks great. We got to, the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, of course. Holy shit, I cannot wait for that game. Alan Wake 2 looks amazing. Mortal Kombat 1, Lies of P. You know, just a bunch of great... We got a release date for Spider-Man 2. Really great stuff. It definitely has some pacing issues. You know, and definitely has some mobile games are there, some free-to-play and DLC stuff that I don't care about. That Marvel Snap section, it was like, excuse me, it was like, what the fuck even is this? Like, I'm sure, like, I don't play a whole lot of mobile games. I did play Marvel Snap, and that game's actually pretty cool. But, like, what the fuck was that? The snippet from the Twisted Metal show that they showed, I don't think we talked about this on Chill with the Meecast. I think we just skipped this, but that Twisted Metal snippet that they showed, it's like, what the fuck even? Like, it looks so bad, that show. I'm gonna watch it, but it looks so bad. But like the pacing was off, but even at, like, the games they showed games that people wanted to see. They you know, we didn't really see that much CG trailers. So yeah, Summer Games Fest I think is an A tier. Devolver, I'm gonna put it in B. You know, nothing too crazy with Devolver. Devolver, they do something interesting with their showcases. Instead of it being like, you know, here's this game, here's this game, here's this game, they put on a bit of like a show. You know what I mean? They, like, this year, they basically made up a mascot and pretended he was like this video game icon for decades called Volvi. And then they made a big deal. He's coming back after like 20 years, and it's an AI, you know, Volvi. Now it was originally Volvy, now it's Volv, .e, you know. It's clever stuff. It's a bit of a commentary on the use of AI now. Some of the games they showed this game called Baby Legs, which is interesting. It's like you're like some 35-year-old man in like your parents' basement. You get sucked into this world, and now you have to like learn to walk again or some shit. There's the Wizard with the Gun game, looks really cool. It has like a similar art style to like Cult of the Lamb, which yeah, it looks really sick. And Human Fall Flat 2 is there as well, which is pretty big. I didn't know this. Human Fall Flat 1 is one of the best-selling games of all time. Did you guys know that? I had no idea about that until me and my friend looked up the chart. Like, I don't know why we did, but we did it for something. And yeah, it's high up there. So yeah, it is a pretty big deal that we're getting Human Fall Flat 2. It's in B tier because while it's very clever and all, and it has, you know, it did its job, it's just you know, it's just not as jam-packed as Summer Games Fest was and what will be in an S tier. But yeah. This one is the Future Game Show. I'm indifferent about this. I'm going to put it in C tier. I'm not entirely sure what Future Game Show is even supposed to be. It's like a whole bunch of games. Like, they're kind of smaller titles, I guess. It's basically, it seems to be like almost like Summer Games Fest, where it's this big, long presentation about new games coming up, but it seems to just be like indie games or AA games, which is cool and all. There was this one game, there's really only 2 games I can actually recall. There was this one game called like The Last Faith or something like that. It looks like this Castlevania inspired looking Souls-like game, which I think that's interesting. It looks awesome. And then there was that one Cuphead like game. I remember there was a Kickstarter a few years ago, and it became controversial because of how similar it seemed to Cuphead. I even forget what it's called, but it looked cool, I guess. But yeah, Future Game Show didn't really have much that really caught my eye aside from those 2 games I mentioned. Same with PC Gaming Show. I'm gonna say I'm less of a gamer or whatever, go ahead, but I don't really play on PC. It is in the pipelines to get a a gaming PC, but like, you know, also sometimes the PC Gaming Show, just I'm interested in it, but yeah, nothing really too crazy. I mean, I think you gotta wager like this. Did I hear about this show? No. Did I know it happened? No. I mean, now I do, but like when it happened, I had no idea about it. If the PC Gaming Show, to me, it might have to do with the fact that I don't play games on PC, but to me it sort of just feels like, you know, it happens and that's it. You know, there's never really any hype around it, like with the PlayStation Showcase or Xbox or Summer Games Fest or even Devolver. I feel like Devolver, there's a little more talk around that one than the PC Gaming Show and the Future Gaming Show for that matter. But I'm indifferent about either of these, so I put them in C. Xbox. I was unsure about this. I thought it was, you know, I actually thought it was kind of mid, or like high mid, because it's definitely better than what they've been showing. You know, it's one of their better showcases in a while. But, and I heard a lot of people just singing its praises, and I'm like, why? It's not that good. But, upon, like, reflecting, it's the S, it's the one and only S tier. And I still think people are gassing it up a little bit. Which I think just goes to show that, like, we haven't really had an all-out banger this summer yet. But, yeah, this was a show. It's an Xbox. I looked at it differently this time. This is the first time I've seen an Xbox showcase since getting a Series X, right? So I definitely had a new, like, pair of lens, you know what I mean, looking at this one. And it got me excited for Xbox. Something that, you know, Xbox, we haven't, like, this year I think is a really solid, we got a really solid lineup. You know, we started off with Redfall, no, we started off with Hi-Fi Rush, Then we got Redfall, which fucking blows. But Hi-Fi Rush was a nice, pleasant surprise. Definitely one of my favorite games of the year so far. Let's see how. I don't know how well it sticks. It stays there by the end of the year, but right now it's definitely up there. And they're going to be ending it with Starfield and Forza. Should those two games be as good as we're anticipating, I'll get into Starfield in a little bit, but should those two games be as good as we're anticipating, I think Xbox really came out this year with a W. When it seems like all they're going to be doing is taking L's. But, like, Avowed, like, they showed Avowed, and they showed, like, actual gameplay for it, and it looks awesome. Fable, they showed actual gameplay for it, and it looks awesome. Like, it didn't seem like a whole lot of gameplay, but they showed gameplay. Like, if you've played Fable, you're familiar with some of those, like, animations and combat and stuff, and they showed that. Hellblade 2 is nice to get some sort of update on that, but then again, it wasn't really an update. We just saw it again. That was kind of the one disappointment. But there's Clockwork Revolution, which like looks really cool. Some other games there too. Payday 3 is a Game Pass game. The Persona games are coming to Game Pass. I mean, like I know those were leaked. You know, Persona 3 Reload and Persona 5 Tactics or Tactica. They all look really cool. This is where we got to see the reveal of Star Wars Outlaws, which we'll talk about in the Ubisoft Forward. But yeah, I think Xbox kind of, I don't think they had an all-out banger here, as some people say they did. I don't think this was a perfect show. It was definitely like structured weirdly, especially towards the end, where there wasn't like this one last thing. They just went right into the Starfield showcase, which, by the way, that I was a little iffy on Starfield, you know, and you might have seen my like live reaction. You might have seen me just a little bored during the Starfield one, and that's just because I don't know, I'm not going on that much sleep, I guess. Because that Starfield show is fucking crazy. You know, it just kept giving us more and more and more and more and more information. It's like, you know, this game's so big. If this game ends up being bad, like, that's gotta be one of the biggest, like, disappointments of all time. This is, like, maybe Xbox's biggest game ever, and I think it's gonna live up to the hype. You know, this game looks amazing. And yeah, that's why that alone I think actually might put Xbox in S. Next up, the Ubisoft Forward, I'm going to put it in B. You know, Ubisoft, they normally don't have the best showcases. And they didn't have a really good show, but they had some great games. As a showcase, it was really good. As a show, it was bad. What I mean is, as a showcase, that is referring to some of the games they showed. Prince of Persia and the Lost Crown looks amazing. A 2D Prince of Persia Metroidvania looks awesome. And it comes out in January of 2024. So right off the bat, right when 2024 begins, we get to play the new Prince of Persia game. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, I was a little like, who cares about Avatar, really? Like, it's been 10 years, over 10 years, and then the new movie came out, and I saw it because, you know, it's still, like, the type of movie I go and see, and I had to confess, I did really like the new movie, and I always thought, though, the world of Avatar is an interesting one, and I think could actually lend itself to an open world game, and they're doing that with Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, and it comes out this year. It comes out December of this year, and it looks really solid. You know, I don't know how I feel about it being first person. I kind of, you know, it would have been cool if this was in third person, but it looks really solid. And Star Wars Outlaws, we got to see some gameplay. It's a fully open world Star Wars game. It's not the first open world Star Wars game, as what they want you to believe. There's the Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker saga, but like that's like a Lego game. I feel like that's almost a different category. This is an open world Star Wars game. You're not playing as a Jedi, which I kind of thought you were going to in this game that we've been hearing about for a while, but it doesn't matter because you get to play as like this, a bounty hunter almost, I guess. So that's pretty cool, and the game looks really cool as well. So yeah, really solid show. When I say as a show it was bad, it means like it was in front of like a live audience and there was some cringe moments. And they also they showed off games like Just Dance, which is like, why is that here? X Defiant, it's like what is this game? But like the games, most of the games they showed, the 3 games I really just talked about are really cool. I didn't mention Assassin's Creed Mirage because if I want to be honest, I don't give a shit about Assassin's Creed, but that's just me. And last but not least, we got Capcom. Look, Capcom they've had a great year this year. It seems like it's about to maybe Exoprimal might fuck it all up, but they've had a great year this year. But unfortunately, this showcase is an F tier because look. Your show is bad if I watch it and I think, so you didn't have to make this into a show. Because they said, I remember going in, they said, we're going to be spending, this showcase is going to be about Exoprimal, Ghost Trick, Phantom Detective, and Dragon's Dogma 2. And Dragon's Dogma 2 was probably the reason I tuned in, because it's like, that game, we just saw more of that game last month, and it looks really cool, and it's like, okay, all right, let's see it. And they literally showed the same trailer we saw at the PlayStation Showcase. They went into a little bit more depth about your pawns and all that, but that we didn't really get to see anything new that we didn't see before. Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, they spend an awful lot amount of time on that, but it's a port of a DS game, which is like, look, it's okay if you want to I'm all for re-releasing older games to preserve them and all that, but why they spent a weirdly long amount of time on a port and they were going over it like it's something like a brand new game. I don't even think they ever once mentioned that this is a port of a DS game. I don't think they ever once mentioned they went over anything that had anything to do with it. They didn't go over how it would work on modern consoles, or maybe they did, but maybe I'm just forgetting. But it's so weird. They barely acknowledged that it was a port, which is so weird, And they spent a lot of time on Exoprimal, which I'll play Exoprimal because it's coming to Game Pass, and it seems I'm curious about it, but it really does not look that good. Some other games they showed, they announced the Apollo Justice Ace Attorney trilogy, that's cool. That's as far as I can remember, I don't think that was announced before, so that's an actual new announcement. Good. They showed that Path of the Goddess game that was announced at Xbox's showcase that I forgot to mention when I was talking about Xbox's showcase. That would be cool, but they literally showed the exact same trailer they showed the day before. It's like, why are you showing us this? You have nothing new. Why are you making this event? And then they showed Mega Man X Dive Offline. I know Mega Man X Dive is this mobile game, and it's just... Why is this here? And then there's the Capcom website where you get to play Mega Man 2 online on the browser. It's this is weird. This would have been cool if it was an application on the Switch or the PS or PlayStation or Xbox or whatever. Instead, and you could play Mega Man or Street Fighter or whatever. Instead, you're playing it off of a browser. It's just weird. This didn't need to happen. Capcom didn't need to make this, but they did. So I don't understand why they did that, but they did. And yeah, that is my summer gaming showcase tier list. So we'll bring it back to podcast DPX. And yeah, okay. That's that. That's the tier list. Again, I got a more puffy beard in that one. But yeah, and that'll do it for this episode of DPX Talks for about an hour. Thanks for watching, listening. If you're on SoundCloud, go over to my YouTube channel, DPX Solo. So give me a subscribe. I just uploaded an episode of my series Solo Missions, part 1 of 2, about Indiana Jones games. There's so many of them, I had to split it into 2 parts. Part 2 will be coming soon. Don't you worry. There's that. And also, if you're on YouTube watching the YouTube version of this, go over to my SoundCloud and follow the podcast DPX Talks for about an hour. And yeah, and that'll do it for this episode. Like I said, maybe next month I'll try to get a guest on here. Maybe the turnaround could even be shorter. Like maybe we can have. I like that I just did this pretty early on in the month. But yeah. Anyways, I'm kind of stalling for time at this point. I'll see you guys in a month with another episode of DPX Talks for about an hour. Bye, guys.